Okay, now if you've been following the steps to this point, you've been getting meetings. And if you've been getting meetings, you've been finding some pressing needs. So that's where we're at right now. So in the last step of this process is how to present an idea, in a compelling manner to create urgency. Again, the model in this business is to put a plan together to help people to accomplish long-term financial goals. I get that. But for most of you right now, you've found pressing needs, and now you're sitting down and you're going to discuss an idea to help solve that pressing need. They have an itch, you're going to scratch it in a little specific area right now. And so let me give you a couple of thoughts on when you present these ideas in these meetings. Again, we've had a discovery meeting, we find that you have a pressing need, and now I'm going to present a solution to that need. That's what we're talking about here. And one of the suggestions I would make as you go through this is start off with an agenda. I think a lot of you have been familiar with how an agenda works, but I would always start off a meeting with an agenda. And maybe it's a written agenda, maybe it's a casual verbal agenda, but say, here's what we're going to do in this meeting. Is I want to review what we talked about last week. I have some ideas and some recommendations. I'm going to lay those out. I'll get your opinion on it, and then we'll figure out what the next step is after that. So I lay out an agenda. Then the first step on my agenda is, like I said, I want to review what we talked about last week. You know, there's a quote that I heard one time, and I like this, where the speaker said, people don't buy because they understand your product. They buy because they think you understand their needs. And so what I want to do is I want to make sure that you know that I get it, that my recommendations are based on that discussion that we had last week when I learned about your needs. So I start off with a quick review, and I might say something like this. So Joe, last week when you and I got together, you mentioned to me that you have money sitting in a bank. You're not very happy with it because obviously it doesn't generate income, but you feel comfortable because it's safe. And if you could find a way to generate more income than you're getting from the bank and still keep it safe, you'd be intrigued and be interested in doing something about that. Has anything changed since then, or is that consistent with what you're looking for? I'm just looking for him to say, yeah, that's it. Nothing's changed. You got it. Okay, so that's step one. Okay, then the second step is I'm going to give you a brief summary of my idea. I'm not in the weeds. I want to get a quick idea. I want to give you a quick overview about my idea and get a reaction. See if you're familiar with this particular strategy or not. I don't want to just dump all over you in presentation mode. I'm going to find out if you're familiar with it. Are you familiar with mutual funds and how they work? Are you familiar with municipal bonds? Have you ever invested in them in the past? Before I go into the weeds about it. So it might sound something like this. I say, so Joe, has anything changed since you and I spoke together, since we got together last week? No. Well, since you and I got together last week, I've done some research. I've talked to some other folks, and I tell you what a lot of our clients are doing right now in similar situations to yours, Joe, is they're investing in what we call as a market-linked CD. And what they like about it is a couple things. Number one, it's safe. And number two, it has the potential to generate significantly more income than you're getting from your traditional CDs. Are you familiar with market-linked CDs and how they work, maybe how they're different than some of the traditional CDs you've invested in? No? Well, let me tell you what I like about it. All right, so that's where we're at so far. Okay. Now, if they are familiar, I want to explore that. Have you looked into them? What was your experiences? Did you invest? What did you like about it? What were the challenges? So I get into that aspect. If I don't, I go straight into my next step. Okay. Now, my next step then is what I call is the rule of three. And there seems to be a magic in 3 reasons to own it. In sales for years we've talked about the importance of the rule of 3. There's 3 reasons why this is the right company. There's 3 reasons why this is the right team. There's 3 reasons why this is the right investment for you. I'm not giving you every reason that I know. I'm just giving you my 3 most compelling reasons. Now, if I need more, I've got them in my back pocket, but I don't just dump on you with everything that I've got and all the research and oversell you if I don't need to. I'm going to give you 3 compelling reasons why I think this is the right investment for you. Now, if you buy into that, which I hope you do, let me give you a couple of tips around presenting those 3 reasons to own it. The first suggestion I would make is as you present your 3 reasons, put them in a numerical bullet point format. Joe, there's 3 things I like about this particular investment. First, second, and third. 1, 2, 3. And here's why I like that. Number one, it makes it easier for you to organize your thoughts. Keeps you from rambling. Sometimes if we don't know what we're going to say, we just say a lot of it, right? So I'm going to organize my thoughts around what are my 3 compelling reasons. Helps keep you on track. That's number 1. Here's the second reason, is it helps them understand the 3 key reasons. Sometimes when I practice this with you guys, I hear you ramble on about the particular investment, and I hear the 3 reasons because I'm looking for it, but sometimes it'll be hard for your prospects to pick up on it because you're just kind of going on. It's just one big glob of a paragraph, right? And so 3 reasons, very easy for them to hang their hat on. 1, 2, 3, first, second, third. So put it in a numerical bullet point format. That's the first suggestion. Second, and this is a little thing, but sometimes the little things make a difference, is I would suggest that you go from least important benefit to them to most important, least to most. It's kind of like I build it up to a crescendo. And finally, Joe, and I think maybe the most important thing is, I'm building it up to a crescendo. All right, that's number 2. Number 3, third point is, guys, you've heard this, KISS, keep it simple salesperson. You got to keep it simple. Guys, the graveyards are filled with financial advisors who are smart people, but they never develop the ability to keep that message simple. You got to keep the message simple. It's so easy to start using our lingo and our words and our jargon, and if you do that, you're going to lose them. So you got to make sure that you keep the message simple. And then the last thing is, as you're presenting your 3 reasons, numerical bullet point format, you're keeping it simple. The entire process is you're checking in. I just want to check in. How's this sound? Am I on target? What's your reaction to this? How's this sound so far? Right? Guys, by the time you get to the end and you get to the close, which is the next step, by the time you get to that last step, there should be no surprises. If you're getting surprises at the end of the process, it's because you talked too much and you didn't check in and listen throughout the process. So I'm constantly checking in, maybe even after each benefit. How's that sound? Does that make sense? What's your reaction? Okay. And then if you've done that, then the final thing that we need to do is we need to create some urgency. We need to ask for the commitment. Right? Zig Ziglar, one of the great sales trainers of all time, I loved one of his lines. He said, salespeople who don't ask for the order have skinny kids. So if you want to provide for your family, you got to ask for the order. You got to ask for the commitment. Now, what I find in our industry, our world, probably the best commitment, the best way to ask for the commitment is the next step close. So simply all we do at this step is I do a quick check-in. I've given you my reasons why I think this is the right investment, and I say, Joe, how's this sound to you so far? What's your reaction? Am I on target? Now, based on what you say, if you give me positive feedback at that point, then the next step is simply, well, Joe, really the next step simply would be we just need to get this ACAT form filled out. We need to get a check. We need to get some statements, whatever the next step is. So I ask for the next step. I say the next step simply would be, would there be any reason we couldn't go ahead and get started on that today? And then you shut up. You wait for them to say something. You don't need to keep selling if you've done everything right to that point. So follow that process as you're presenting your ideas. Check in throughout the entire process. Make sure you're on target. When you get finished, ask for the commitment when it's appropriate and move to the next step. All right, hopefully this was of value to you. Hopefully you got something from the series. By the way, feel free to share this with anybody else that you know that's new in this industry. If I can be of any value, my email is attached here. Feel free to reach out to me and be on the look. We're going to create another series here very shortly. So with that, thank you guys for looking in, and hopefully you got some value out of this. So.